Good morning, students. Welcome to another science lesson. Today we are going to learn about producers and consumers. By the end of this lesson, you are going to be able to explain how plants produce food, which is photosynthesis, and list the things needed for photosynthesis, and also explain how animals obtain their nutrition. Now we know that all living things need food. Why? Why do we need food? Yes, we said to grow, to survive, to have energy. Yes. For energy, growth, to be healthy, to repair damage, for all these things you need food. Now, plants make food, so they are known as producers because they are producing, they are making their own food, right? Now, do you know how do plants make food? Do they cook? No. Plants prepare their food by a process called photosynthesis. So, when the plants prepare their food, this process is called photosynthesis. Now, let's study in detail about photosynthesis. Actually, the word photosynthesis comes from two words, photo, which means light, and synthesis, which means putting together. Okay? So, plants need sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the soil to prepare their own food. They make their food using these things. Now, leaves is like the kitchen because photosynthesis takes place in the leaves of the plant. So, the food is made inside the leaves. Now, actually, we cannot open the leaves like this, but inside the leaves they have tiny pores and it's called stomata. We learned last year that they have tiny pores. When we learned the lesson of respiration in grade 4, you learn that how do plants breathe. They have tiny pores and they breathe through it. So these pores are called stomata. Now the carbon dioxide from the air goes into these small tiny holes or pores and get into the plant. Now the plant also gets water from the soil. So you need water, carbon dioxide and sunlight. So then in the daytime they make the food. And only the green plants can make food because they need something called chlorophyll also. So during photosynthesis, what they are doing, they are taking the carbon dioxide from the air and changing it into oxygen, because when they use carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. You can see the first picture. In the daytime, what happens? They take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. At night, like us, they breathe normally, they take in oxygen and they give out carbon dioxide. Now let's see what are the things needed for photosynthesis. I already discussed with you, but let's see. So like we said, you need sunlight. In the night they cannot make food because they get the energy from sunlight. And they need carbon dioxide which goes into the leaf through the tiny holes called stomata. And they need water and they need chlorophyll, the green thing which gives the green color to the plant. So these four things are used by the plant to make the food, and this whole process is called photosynthesis. And during the process of photosynthesis, what is happening? The food is made in the form of starch and it's stored in the plant, and also oxygen is given out. Now here let's see an experiment to see how the plants give out oxygen. Okay, so in this experiment you will see how plants are doing photosynthesis and giving out oxygen. So first, for that we need a beaker full of water, we need a funnel, okay, and we need a test tube, and also we need some plants which grow in water, for example hydrilla. We need to get these kind of plants. So what you need to do is you need to get the top part of the plant, break it, and now you have to put it into the funnel. You're going to fit it into the funnel just like shown here. Now you will put it into the water of beaker. The beaker with full of water, you will put it to the bottom of it. Now you will take another test tube and fill it with water up to the top and close it with your thumb and put it upside down into the beaker without letting the water go, and then you will put it on top of the funnel. So what you need to do is that you need sunlight for photosynthesis, right? So you will keep this in sunlight, and you can add potassium bicarbonate to make it, photosynthesis faster. So if you leave in the sunlight for a long time, you can slowly see tiny bubbles. If you look in the video carefully, you can see some tiny bubbles coming up. Can you see it? This is actually the oxygen, because when they are using carbon dioxide from the water and they are giving out oxygen. So this oxygen is being collected at the the bottom part of the test tube, because it's inverted. Now you can slowly pull it out, but before you pull it out, make sure that you put the thumb and close it so that the oxygen does not escape. Now to check if the gas is oxygen, what you can do is, this person is putting a burning thing. See, when you put inside, it's burning more, because for burning you need oxygen. So you see, it's burning with a high flame. So it shows that there is oxygen inside this. So that was the experiment. Now, how do animals obtain nutrition? How do animals obtain nutrition? Animals consume or eat the other living things, and therefore they are called consumers, because they are consuming from the producers. Some of the animals, they eat the plants, and some of the animals eat other animals. Like for example, let's say deer, it eats the plants, but animals like tiger or lion eat the deer. So the animals which eat only plants, we learned that we call them herbivore, and the animals which eat animals are called carnivores. That's why they are called consumers, because they are not making any food of their own, they are just eating or consuming from the others. Now, what will happen if there were no plants? There would be no animals also in the world. Why? Because if there is no plant, there won't be any herbivores which eat plants. Like for example, there will be no deers, no horses, nothing, because these eat plants. And if there are no horses or deers, do you think there will be lions and tigers? No, because they need these animals to survive. So if there were no plants, there would be no animals in the world, and even we would not be there in the world, because we eat either from the plant or from the animals. So we cannot have, and we also will not be. So there won't be any life in the earth if there were no plants. Now, actually, there is a food chain. You learned last year about the food chain, a chain of it shows how the energy is passed on, right? So a food chain actually shows how animals depend on plants for their food. Every food chain always starts with a plant. Like you see in the picture, there will be a plant. It will be eaten by a set of animals, like for example, cow, giraffe, deer, rhinos, elephants shown here. Then you will have another set of animals which eat these animals, like you see lion, tiger, and there is another set of animals or things which eat these, like vulture, they eat the dead meat. So this is the whole food chain. So that was our lesson. So what did we learn today? We learned producers are the plants which they make their own food. Consumers are animals because they eat or consume to get energy. And also we learned about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their own food using carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. Now you can open your Pupils book, page 28. We are doing what you have learned. So let's see. A plant makes its food by, what is the process of making food called? It's called, yes, photosynthesis. So a plant makes its food by photosynthesis in its leaves. It uses blank. What does it use? From where do it get energy? Yes, it gets energy from the sunlight. Yes. To change what? It's a word which has two small words. Yes, because two blanks are given. So to change carbon dioxide, and what else does it need? Yes, it needs water. So it uses carbon dioxide and water, and it's changed into blank and blank gas. So it's changed into sugar and oxygen gas. Now the plant then changes the sugar into blank. So the sugar is changed into starch to store the food, because they can make their own food from non-living plants. Are what they are called? Yes, producers, because they make their own food. And animals are called consumers, because they eat plants and other animals to obtain food. Now you will see one word is extra over here, which is called chlorophyll. Now what is chlorophyll? It is the green color of the, it is something which gives green color to the plants, but it's not mentioned here, so we just remove it. They just put the word extra to make you confused. Now all of you can open your notebook so that we can do the check your progress. Okay, so in your notebook, write the date, write the lesson number, the name and the page number, and also write the subheading check your progress. After that, let's go to question number 1. What is the question? What is photosynthesis? Where does it take place in the plant? So what is photosynthesis? Yes, it is the process by which green plants make food using the sunlight, carbon dioxide and water, right? And where does it take place? In the leaves. So let us write the process by which green plants make food. This is photosynthesis. And we have another question. Where does it take place? It takes place in the leaves. Okay. Now number 2, they are asking list 4 things needed for photosynthesis. I just told you what are they? Yes, sunlight, water, carbon dioxide. Now this is only 3. You need one more, which is actually chlorophyll, because it is the green thing, right? So it needs chlorophyll also. Now, number 3, how do plants store food? The food is stored as starch. Yes. Now, number 4, describe the experiment. We are not describing it because you need to write a lot. To show plants need light to grow. We know already. If you want to do to write the experiment is actually you take 2 plants, one you keep in the sunlight, one you keep in the dark room, and see which one grows. That's easy, right? Now let's write for number 5. Explain, giving example, the difference between a producer and a consumer. So what is a producer? Yes, they are plants, and they're called producer because, yes, they make their own food. And consumer are animals, because they consume or they eat. So the answer is here. Producers or plants, they make food, and consumers or animals, they eat them. Okay, so now when you have finished writing this, we will do the workbook, page 28. Unscramble the letters to make reasons why all living things require food. Okay, so why we need food? To supply? Yes, to supply energy. And to provide materials for what? For growth. To supply materials for health. And to supply materials for repairs. So this is why we need food. Now we'll move to the second question. Explain in 2 sentences why plants are producers and animals are consumers. Plants are producers because, yes, they make food. And animals are consumers because they consume other living things. Now we move to the third question. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction that allows plants to capture and store the energy of sunlight. The reaction requires sunlight and 2 chemical reactants, and there is 2 products. That means they use 2 things to do photosynthesis and give out 2 things. So what are reactant means? The things which they use, and products are the things which they give out. So from the words given in the box here, which are the things they need and which are the things they give out? Yes, they use water and carbon dioxide, and they give out, or find after photosynthesis what you get? Sugar and oxygen, and the sugar is stored as starch. Now we go to the last question, the 4th one. The experiment just I showed you, they have just drawn the diagram over here. You can see the pond weed or any plant which grows in water. There is a funnel which is kept on top of it, which is inside a glass jar, and the test tube is there, and you can see gas bubbles rising up. And name the gas labeled X. What is the gas being collected at the top? Yes, it is the oxygen, because plants give out oxygen during photosynthesis. Suggest how you could speed up the rate at which the plant make bubbles. That means how can you have more oxygen? How can you make it speed up? You need to have the photosynthesis faster. What you can do, you can place it in the sunlight, because when there is more sunlight, they make more food and they give out more oxygen. But how can you slow it down? The opposite, right? By putting it in the dark. If you put it in the dark, there won't be photosynthesis. So slowly the bubbles will stop. So that's all for today. I hope you understood the lesson. We learned what is a producer, which are plants because they make their own food, consumers because they consume or eat, which is animals, and we learned how plants make food using the process called photosynthesis, where they use four things: water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, and chlorophyll. And during this process, they give out oxygen and they make food in the form of sugar, which is stored as starch. So this is what we learned today. Thank you. I hope you really understood the lesson. If you have any questions, you can message me and ask in Class Dojo or in the class when you come next time. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day.